Hello and welcome to this episode of FinTech Focus TV, brought to you by Harrington Starr, global leaders in financial technology recruitment. Head over to the Harrington Starr website today, where you'll be able to download our brand new documentary, The Era of Convergence, which charts the merger of traditional and decentralized finance. You'll also be able to see our new magazine, The Financial Technologist, with the top 1% Workplace Awards. Enjoy the show and we'll see you soon. Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby Babb. Today we are going stateside and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce you to Marco Santos from GFT. Marco, listen, it's lovely to have you on the show. I'm excited about what we're talking about today. We've had a little preamble beforehand. You're doing some amazing things. You've recently been appointed the CEO of Americas for GFT. Before we get into all the things we're going to be talking, digital transformation and beyond, you've got a fascinating story. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little about GFT and how everything fits together.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you very much to be here with you. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Likewise.
Well, let's talk about Marco, right? I am that kind of unusual stories of an executive that was born in an emerging marketing country. I was born in Brazil. And now I'm heading the GFT Americas, right? Based in the United States. I started at GFT Group 11 years ago, and as the CEO and country manager at GFT Brazil. My objective was to make a kind of startup of GFT in Brazil, because at that time, 11 years ago, we were just 80 engineers providing offshore service and 0 clients in the Brazilian markets. And fast forward, so I started at GFT Brazil, country manager, and we evolved pretty fast on the local markets. We got some very strategic clients on financial service, banks, insurance, capital markets. And we evolved for Latin America. So I assumed Mexico, I assumed Costa Rica, then I assumed as CEO at GFT Latin America. About 2.5 years ago, I assumed the GFT USA. During the pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic, I could not fly to USA, and I had to implement several changes, implement many things in the USA. The story has been very nice because over the last 2 years, we doubled GFT USA organization, right? So we doubled the business. Yeah. So it's an incredible journey. And I moved with my family 1.5 years ago to United States because we must be on the ground, right? To really feel the market, to understand the clients, the employees, the partners. And then recently I assumed GFT Canada, which is a pretty strong operation that we have, very strong in insurance. With this integration, I take the helmet of America. So now I'm the CEO at GFT Americas. And it's very nice to see that story because, again, 11 years ago, we were 80 guys in Brazil, 8 guys in US. So less than 90 people in Americas. And now we are almost 5,000 employees and consultants in Americas, right? Wow. So we're working. So it's an amazing story of growth at GFT Group, a really exponential growth. Yeah, so last year, 2022, we are now we're going to announce our figures of the year, but I can say that until the third quarter of last year, we grew more than 50% in US, more than 60% in Latin America, and in Canada, we grew more than 60%. So we really created an exponential growth journey. Even last year, right, it was a challenging year, right, for the whole IT markets, right? I am very excited and my team to really move forward and keep growing, keep evolving on this, what we call this exponential journey, right, that we are creating at GFT. And now in Americas, we feel much more capable to deliver agile at scale and efficiency, right, for our clients, same time zone, clear, virtual distributed, right, in US, in North America, in Latin America. So very, very happy with the movements from GFT Group.
That's incredible stuff. I want to dig into that story of growth and look at some of the motivators and reasons behind it. Before we get into that though, tell us a little bit about GFT yourselves and actually what you're doing and your marketplace as well.
Perfect. GFT is a IT multinational organization, a publicly listed company. We are in the German stock exchange. We grew up in financial service. So that's our main business. 70% of our overall business worldwide is financial service, banks, retail bank, investment bank, asset management, capital markets, insurance, rating and scoring, so financial service and information organization. So that's encompasses around 70% of our business. Obviously, we've been expanding outside financial service because everyone in the market wanna drive payments, wanna create digital wallets, right? So everybody wanna be a bank, a kind of bank, and we've been very successful moving to other industries as well. GFT, we are organized in 3 regions, so Americas, Europe, continental Europe, UK, APAC. What we do, we've been delivering successful transformation programs and helping companies, financial service organizations, to move their digital transformation programs. I'm talking about clouds, a cloud journey. We're talking about creating new digital platforms heavily based on data, AI. We're talking about creating new digital apps, customer experience, APIs, open service. We are very strong on open banking, open insurance, and we've been working for Fortune 500 financial service organizations, but also FinTechs as well. So also FinTechs and neobanks, those new players that are coming into the picture.
It's a fascinating market space out there at the moment within financial technology, isn't it? As you say, in banking in general, with the sort of rise of fintechs and digital banks and everything in between. And that's another thing which we'll come into. I want to try and keep to some sort of timeline because I've got so many questions to ask you here. I want to go back to those remarkable figures that you just spoke about. So you talked about, a growth of, I think, 88 people across the Americas. And I'll get this figure right that you just said. It's over 5,000 now, right?
Exactly. We are almost 5,000 in Americas under my responsibility. Yeah. So it's an amazing, it's unbelievable growth, right? And we do not have any clients, right? So we really created a strong footprint into the markets with key clients that are definitely the voice of GFT, right? Our clients. So.
That's always the best way of spreading the news, isn't it? Doing a great job and having people then showcase exactly why you should be moving and growing throughout the industry. So you're doing things right with that. If you can look at that journey and you talk about some big percentage growth there in territories that you've just spoken about, what would be some of the key ingredients that you'd say, these are the reasons why, this is the things that we've done right to allow that to happen? Because that's not an easy growth pathway at any sort of time, and particularly not in that sort of short period of time. And I imagine there's teething problems through that. You also talked about the perils of the pandemic, et cetera, and how difficult it is to grow through there. You've got increasing need for your service over that sort of time, but onboarding people, I imagine, in remote manners. There's a lot of challenge to that sort of growth at the in the best of times, and this has definitely not been the best of times over recent years. If you could bottle some of the sort of key secrets that have done you so well over that period, what would you say they'd be?
Okay, so let's start with vision. We created a strong culture to see the future, and we have an exponential mindset. So that's myself, that's Marco as the leader, but that's my team as well. That comes from my direct team, and it goes all the way down to every employee. We understand exponential forces, exponential opportunities, exponential threats, and we understand what means exponentials for the business, and we have an exponential mindset. We wanna, as a team, do things that creates impact, and we are not here to run on linear, to plan and execute linear business plans. So we really wanna create double folding, how we can double year over year, every 2 years, every 3 years, but how we can really create an exponential growth, right? So that's Marco, that's the team. And I think that we prepare, we design well the vision, and then we, as a second step, we plan it, I'd say very well. But I also tell my team, execution is king. Because you can have a nice plan, but if you don't execute well, right, it's useless, right? So execution is king. And once you finalize the vision, we jump, and we are, let's say, very focused on execution, really agile approach to do things fast, small steps, MVPs, validate, and grow on top of that in interactions, right? So that's everything that we do on the sales, on delivery, on creating a new practice, a new business units, is on redesign the organization. So I think that's something that is super important. The second thing is the team. I think that this second ingredient of our success is the team. It's not Marco, right, who has delivered, right, that beautiful exponential results. It's my team, right? It's the GFT family, and we have a strong culture to empower our team, to make them autonomous, and to especially to have trust. Trust is the most important word that we have at GFT. 2 weeks ago, we had the leadership event taking place in US for GFT, and we utilized the whole event to reinforce the importance of trust among ourselves, among our relationships. Say what is needed to say, be transparent, and nurture these important, fundamental elements, which is trust. So we have this concept of trusted team. So I talking about the second ingredient, which is the team, and third, I think that we are passionate for technology, information technology, and we want to be ahead of the game. We are always trying to understand what are the next technology waves, the next technology opportunities that our clients, financial services, insurance, neobanks are gonna demand, are gonna need, and we are mastering in order to prepare ourselves, to prepare our team, and have a talent team, right, to deliver innovative and transformational programs, right, for financial services, insurances, and etc. So I think that third ingredient, that is the passion for information technology and passion for innovation, to understand what is next, understand what is really going to make an impact, because we talk a lot about blockchain, for example, but it's not there right yet, right, in terms of adoption, right? If we invested our time waiting on this wave, right, we would not be able to create this growth, right? But I think that we to look at, for example, cloud, for data AI, for open banking, open insurance, open APIs, integration, and many technical elements that we have passion for, and that we were able to articulate and bring to our clients. And the fourth ingredient is leveraging over the key stories, the key use case, key clients. This is very important. This is very important, right? So we've been moving step by step. When you really land into clients with a project that can create the reference for us, we invest our lives in order to make it super successful, and then use that as a step to also address more of the prospects, the market, because everyone want to engage a company, right, that has experience, right, to help them solve their problems, right, to help them tackle the challenges that are there, right?
I'm just listening to that and soaking it in. I spent a whole day yesterday looking at leaders in sport and hearing their sort of lessons about Olympic and gold medal performances and being the best of the best in their class. And I love hearing those lessons and taking them across to business. But also in business, there's nuances around that as well. But if you look at and you boil it down to everything I heard yesterday, and I listened to what you've just said about having a vision about this sort of exponential mindset. So you have a clear vision, number one. Number two is people, which, as you know, my day job is all about people, and I'm a fundamental believer in putting the right teams in place. Number three is passion, and being passionate about what you're doing, and really, again, within that, making sure you're working in the right areas and putting that passion into things which aren't just vanity projects, but things which people really need. And number four, talk about leveraging key clients, but it's about being customer obsessed in the first place and putting everything into it. So if I look at that and say vision, people, passion, and customer, and you look at that and you say, that is an ingredient which everyone in the world should know, right? It's a beautifully simple and straightforward philosophy for how to do business. But simple isn't easy. Simple isn't necessarily easy, right? And the ease that you've managed to sort of put that in play, and I know how much hard work will have come behind it, is something which I just love to hear. It's behind every growth journey, behind every story of high performance is usually basics done brilliantly well. And it sounds to me like you've had a real structure and a real plan about doing that sort of thing and taking it to marketplace in a really clever way that's combined with absolute simplicity at the same time. I love that.
I believe on simplicity as well, right? Because if you summarize it literally 4 or 5 bullet points, right? People usually get lost, right, on priorities, right? But if you simply focus on those elements, right, with the lens of your company, right, the markets that you act on, you definitely move forward, right? We definitely move forward in an accelerated way.
100% agree. Look, you talked a little bit about some of the areas that you're into, and as we say, there's a lot there that is very on point at the moment, very topical at the moment. You're talking about areas there that are really significant. We've seen it, I think, over the last 2-3 years, a digital transformation within the banking area. I know it's sort of slightly wider than that, but if we look at the 70% of your business based on banking technology and the banking industry, we've seen a wave of digital innovation that we haven't seen, that I think was probably propelled by the pandemic. They probably got 10 years worth of innovation in probably 10 months at one sort of stage, which creates in itself a whole load of opportunities. So tell us what comes next and the areas of opportunities you're working in, and what we expect to see both from yourself, but also in the industry in terms of digital transformation, throughout 2023, throughout 2024.
No, perfect. First, digital transformation is a really broad term, right? That every company, everybody use that, right? So there are many, let's say, aspects for that, right? For us, what are the key elements of digital transformation that we are focused on, right, for GFT? So first, we strongly believe that all the financial service organizations, all banks, they are all moving and they all need to move to more optimize the lean and next generation RT architects. And this is based on cloud. This is a trend that it's moving, it's going to accelerate, and we have a long way forward, right, for this transformation of the whole financial service organizations. And we are on that. GFT is super specialized on that game, on those types of projects, and we are helping our clients on that. So number one. Number two, on top of that, we also see the movement of many financial service organizations to adopt and implement next generation core banking, next generation core insurance, next generation asset management core software. And this is a trend in order to accelerate their IT architecture. And what do I mean with next generation core banking, for example? Those are systems that are cloud native, that are open services, open API by design. They are based on smart contracts, and they are low code. So that's the trend. And GFT, we are implementing, for example, a next generation core banking for one of the top 2 largest banks in the United States of America. Right? I cannot say the name, but it's one of the top 2. And we are doing a huge project for them on that. So this is a second trend. A third trend, we strongly believe that creating digital platforms, new systems, new applications that are heavily based on data and AI and open APIs, open services. And then you can create customized digital platforms to help the financial service organizations move forward. This is a custom development area that we are very strong at. And then I need to invest some time on AI, right? Which for me, I am an enthusiast of AI. I study AI when I got computer science in the 90s at the university, and I got some specialization there. But it was so boring at the time because we don't have enough capabilities in terms of processing to implement the ideas that we had. But now with cloud, you see the realization of all the capabilities that AI can bring. And I strongly believe that you are getting into a point that AI is going to be pervasive. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be in your app. It's going to be in the B2B systems. It's going to be everywhere. And they're going to help us making recommendations, right, for us. So we're going to get into the recommendation area and time. Everything you do, you get a recommendation. And our agent, my agent is going to talk to your agent, right? So at the very end, we are going to have a much more interaction with AIs. And you don't need to talk about the generative AIs that you see in the market. ChatGPT is one of them. There are many others coming up right now, and this is going to grow, right? This is going to grow a lot, and that we are going to have application of that into the business models, and we are going to have new business models created on that. And even companies like GFT, you can reinvent, you can augment ourselves utilizing generative AI. So beautiful time that we are living on.
I genuinely think the door is open on AI now, isn't it? It's been circling for a while. We've seen more and more use cases. I feel for the last decade we've been debating the robots coming, etc., and people are sort of go through that sort of fear curve through to the adoption and actually can see where it goes now. And I think you're absolutely right. It's exciting. Yeah, the evolution of it from being quite boring into something now where you can actually see so many different parts of potential to make efficiencies and to increase productivity. And I think in a world where people are becoming less and less productive, naturally, we've got to look at things there where people can be enhanced from that. And that fusion of man and machine, I think, is an incredibly exciting position to be in. And I think financial services is a natural landing point for it to really move further forward as well. There's lots for you to be getting in touch with. As you said, it's about making sure that you guys as a company are moving into the right areas, which you seem to have got very, very right over recent years. Talk to us a little bit about your vision, where the companies go, how this exponential growth maintains itself. I think one of the great things about growth that you've seen in your company is that it raises expectations. And that's also one of the bad things about it when it happens as well, because it's not quite so easy to keep on growing at that rate, isn't it? So I'm sure the ambition's there. With an exponential mindset, that's not something that goes to sleep particularly quickly. Tell me about the plans and where you guys head.
Yeah. So first, I was having that discussion with the board of GFT yesterday. And people say, Marco, but it's exponential. We must be cautious with the word exponential because we live in a scenario that we have so many challenges, et cetera, and then we can have a year that is a challenging year. And I said, look, thinking exponential is not thinking short term, right? Thinking exponential is thinking long term. So that's the point. You can have a challenging quarter, a challenging semester, a challenging year, right? But you should not lose the sight of what you can do on the long run, right? We human beings, we tend to overestimate what you can do on the short term and underestimate what you can do on the long run, right? And that's important to keep the exponential mindset, right? Because it will help us moving forward and tackle exponential forces, challenge, right? That because not only exponential opportunities that are the sense, that feeling that we have today, that wow, we delivered something so great last year, wow, but this year is starting challenging. Those are the exponential forces that we see, that we feel, right? And this is forces that brings challenge for us, right? That feels anxiety, that brings anxiety for us, and also feels, brings enthusiasm, right? But so that's my point. Okay, so besides anything on technology of areas, we need to keep the mindset, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Going one deep down, I strongly believe that we are getting into a moment that we are going to be much more efficient in terms of economy, society, information technology. Right? I think that there was so many investments, so many hype, so many things that were done without the right decisions. But now we are getting into the whole economy, the whole society is going to reaccommodate, and we are going to create a next wave of exponential growth again. That's part of our human. We're going to be faster and more efficient. More efficient. This is the second thing that I'd like to share. And talking about areas of opportunities, I strongly believe that the digital transformation will, keep moving. So it's going to accelerate again with more efficient platforms for banks, for insurance, for and information technology consulting and software and hardware companies, right? And I strongly believe that cloud is in the early stage. We have less than 10% of IT architectures from financial service organizations moving to the cloud. So this is something that is gonna grow. Number two, I strongly believe on the AI. The companies are investing and they're gonna keep moving forward the investments on the customer side, the customer experience side, on
Absolutely.
the B side, right? The integration of the systems internally, and every application, customer B2B side, they are gonna be more and more based on AI and data, right? Those two things that come together, data and AI. As I mentioned before, I think that the companies are also going to move with a new software as a service, next generation software as a service for their core banking, the core insurance, the core asset management. So they are going to keep moving on towards that direction. This is also an area of a strong investment, and that we are betting a lot. I think that is an open banking, open service, open payroll, open, right? Everything is getting open. There is a strong debate related to data protection, obviously, so that comes together. But there's a trend that it's going to be used and leveraged by the banks, by the neobanks, by the FinTechs, to utilize the open services and create new models and new business based upon information that is available in the market.
It's fascinating, isn't it? There's so many different areas and it's such an exciting time. I think I told you this episode would fly, and it absolutely has. We've spent a great half hour, which is the end of my week at the moment, which has been a long and challenging week in many respects. At the end of it, to be finishing with this and to be so inspired by a story that's as exciting as the one which you've gone through. I've been writing little notes as you've been going through, and I feel that there's so many different things there that just make it as easy as possible to understand. I'm excited just to take it away and put it into my business from everything you've just been speaking about. It is a brilliant way to end a week for me, and I'm sure it's going to be a brilliant episode for people to watch and be inspired by from it as well. I'm going to finish with you on the last note just by saying, tell us who should be speaking to you at the moment, and what's the best way of them reaching out and finding out more about what you guys are doing with the brilliant GFT brand?
You can find me on the LinkedIn, right? You can find GFT on the LinkedIn. So it's Marco Santos, the LinkedIn. So you can find me easily. And by the way, I'm very active. I utilize the concept of exponential organizations. Exponential organizations leverage over the crowd, right? I invest a lot of my attention on the social media. We communicate on social media to our employees, to our clients, to our market. So I'm more than happy to be found there. Right?
Fantastic. Well, we'll put a link in there as well. We'll tag you in when we release this. I can't wait to get this episode out. Marco, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for ending my week on an absolute high. I've loved it. And thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you. It was a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Likewise. Thank you very much. And thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on another episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.